Welcome to another edition of Lando's Palace, episode 2, the
Yo,
chapter
yo.
16 Mandalorian edition. We got a lot to talk about today. We'll be joined in a little bit by DJ Big Phil, but we got the Mandalorian, Nate
Mhm.
Broaddus in the house. We got Luki Skywalker, Salam in the house, and as usual, your co-host. Welcome to Cloud City. Welcome to Lando's Palace. Yeah, wow. So a lot to talk about. We just experienced the chapter 16 of the Mandalorian season 2, and wow, they saved a lot, for the episode. So let's start with Luke Mon. Let's just do a quick takes, and then we'll kind of just go through kind of the storyline and some of the key moments. Yeah, so Luke Mon, what was just your initial reaction to chapter 16?
Well, yo, Corey, beforehand, man, why we call this Lando Palace? Why you called it Lando Palace, bro? You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting into that. You know what
Why I call
I
Lando? Oh, yeah. Well,
mean?
just going back in the early days of Star Wars. Lando, played by Billy D. Williams. Was kind of the first character in the Star Wars universe. That was a big star with on the world, but also obviously an iconic actor, in the African American community. And there's also actually a jazz album by Ron Carter called Empire Jazz, where it's a really cool version of Lando's Palace. Because Lando's Palace is actually a song on the original, not on the Empire Strikes soundtrack, as well. Yeah. So everybody, thanks for joining us today.
Word up, man. Nah, man. First reaction, I was blown away. I was overwhelmed. I had to turn it off. I had to go outside to get some deep breaths. The whole thing, the whole episode, it was just classic storytelling, classic suspense storytelling all the way from beginning to end. And at the end, obviously, I just turned it off, man. I just turned it off and had to kind of chill for a good 20 minutes, man, and kind of take in everything that even just the whole season, period. And then I started reflecting on this the whole 2 seasons, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was just my first reaction.
That's what's up, Nate.
Hey, I'm mirroring everything Luke Mons. So first of all, I wanted to say, I think I need a cookie or something for this. I was on an airplane once with Billy D. Williams. I'll never forget it. And I wasn't allowed to look at him. I wasn't allowed to talk to him. He was pretty under the weather at the time. He had a nurse with him. She was like, "Look, I'll let you know this is Billy D. Williams, but don't come over here." You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of cool. But as far as the episode goes, I had to really take a moment and gather myself. You know what I mean? I really can't believe what I saw. I can't believe these over the past 2 seasons how great of a job they did tying together all the different Star Wars mythology that we've all been pouring into over the last 30, 40 years. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think that this I was talking about in the last episode, this novel that I read back in 1997 could tie into a cartoon from 2011. You know what I mean? And they tie it all together in 2020 with the Mandalorian, man. They did something amazing, and I loved it. And I actually, and I know we're supposed to be real quick, but I watched it with my brother and his girlfriend, and she has never seen a Star Wars movie. She doesn't even know the general gist of the storyline. You know what I mean? She's pretty unaware of it. And we sat down and she watched the last episode, and she was just like, that might be the best thing I've ever seen on TV.
Wow.
Right. She was like, I got to go back and rewatch and go watch all this now.
Wow. See.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was one of those.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a doozy, and I think, shouts out to Big Phil, who's going to be joining us. He said, he saw that the last 4 episodes, season 2, they kept hitting us, with, kind of a cameo. You know what I mean? It was first it was Bo-Katan, then it was Ahsoka, then it was Boba Fett, You know what I'm saying? And then boom, you know what I'm saying? It was Luke Skywalker. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta give super props. You know what I'm saying um to Big Phil, for just seeing kind of that, that development. And it brings us to, the episode, the rescue, you know what I mean? Which obviously, like, every episode is kind of a double entendre, you know what I mean? It was like them rescuing Grogu, and then obviously Luke, rescuing, rescuing the team that went to rescue Grogu. So yeah, so let's just like jump right into it. It starts with, Slave One, chasing Dr. Pershing's ship. And they board the ship really quick, and it leads to, I think, some of the best dialogue, in the history of Star Wars. The back and forth between Cara Dune and the Imperial pilot, who saw the tear from Alderaan.
Oh,
Made his little comments and said, it was a small price to pay to rid the galaxy of terrorism.
Right.
I thought that was like I thought that was like some ill dialogue right there, and it's stuck with the continuity. You know what I mean? And it's still kind of like, cements, the destruction of Alderaan is like a key moment, in this longer story.
No doubt, definitely. Did you go on? You want me to go?
Yeah, you can jump in. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was saying definitely that's how I even started. Just how you even just set it off, just as far as the storytelling, you know what I mean, and just the suspense ride. You know what I mean? It started from the beginning. Like that episode felt like Empire Strikes Back, man. You know what I'm saying? It felt like Empire Strikes Back, basically, and how they told it, and how it was layered, and how it was, everything was just like, oh, this is another booby trap. Oh, we're about to go into another booby trap. Oh, we're about to go into another, you know what I mean? And just one after another. It was probably about 5 or 6 layers of getting through a puzzle or getting through a maze. You know what I'm saying? It was classic Star Wars. And that's the whole thing, like, with this whole Mando series, is that not only did it like develop the characters properly, but it also told great stories. And the special effects is what kind of put the cherry on top, or the cinnamon in the roll. You know what I mean? Whereas before, with the movies, it seemed like they were just kind of like, yo, the special effects is off the hook. Check it out. You know what I mean? Check out this ship. Check out this. And then the story and the characters were kind of lagging. This, man, they put the story and the character development up front, and then the special effects and the fight sequences and everything are like, it's like the cherry on top. So when you get that, it's like, oh, you're blown away, because you're already engaged in the storytelling. Also, man, Kahari, man, and Nate, man, I don't know if you agree, but I think the set designs for this episode, for the series, have been off the chain, as far as set designs, as far as the places they go into. You know what I mean? They really took care and like kind of recreating the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean? And I'll just say one more thing for Nate. I think that the Mandalorian kind of civil wars, you could say, or the beef. You know what I mean? It's like their cultural beef is deep, man. I was saying this to Brother Keyway, I think. We were talking last night. It's like almost like their struggles like Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like the internal struggle that we have sometimes, that other people, other races, other cultures don't really understand. You know what I mean? Like, no, we got to deal with this. Like, there's some things that we got to close doors, and we got to kind of deal with some things that other people can. And that's kind of how you feel about the Mandalorian piece. You know what I mean? Or their culture. And that first scene when they walk into, you know what I mean, the restaurant, the little bar, the little lounge, and that whole conflict, that right there just sets it all off. And I think that right there is like kind of a preview to season 3, but we'll get to that. You know what I mean? So I just kind of wanted to add to that and say that right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nate, jump in.
So first of all, I thought that first scene was off the hook, man. Like whenever they walked in there, and then the conflict that they had, like you were saying, Luke, like it really like emphasizes like just the cultural and richness that there is in the Star Wars universe, that I think a lot of other storytelling platforms don't really do that well. You know what I mean? Like you really feel like, all right, like this is Mandalorian culture. That's a crazy thing. But also there's like 3 or 4 different cultures in that culture. Like, you know what I mean? Like tell me more. You know what I mean? Like, okay, okay, this is the thing. But what's even crazier about that is like if we were really to sit here and do like a long form conversation about it, we could probably come up with similar things for multiple races in the Star Wars universe, multiple cultures in the Star Wars universe. And I just think that the fact that they did that is like, and so a guy who like likes to write, I like sci-fi, I like to write comic books and stuff. Every time I see someone do something like that, I'm like, but how? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did y'all think of that? But like, and I hope I'm not jumping too far forward, man. But like the illest scene in the whole movie, outside of like the obvious illest scene in the whole show, is when they had that shuttle and they were flying that thing right down the hatch.
Oh yeah.
Oh my bro, I'm sitting up because first of all, when they came out, I'm just like, and Boba Fett and Slave One's blasting at the shuttle. I'm just like, oh, this is an ill plan. Like I seen it like early, but then I'm like, wait a second, they're really gonna do this, and just like the way it played out, like there was so much tension in the room. You know what I mean? I guarantee, like everybody knew that they were gonna land that shuttle on the ship. You know, right. we knew that they weren't gonna die trying to land that shuttle on the ship. We all felt like they were gonna die. Right. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Right. No, that was a real tense scene, man. No, definitely. And again, that shows like every step, like every part of this episode, there was like a tenseness, or there was like, you know, suspense, like every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like every 10 minutes, it's like, oh, we're about to. Oh, what? Now they get on the ship. Now they got to go through the Dark Troopers. Now they got to go through this. Now they got to go through all of this just to get to just to take over the ship. Then once they take over, you know what I'm saying? Now all the Dark Troopers are coming. Oh, and this is another thing, man. It was building up the Dark Troopers all through the episode.
Right.
All through the episode, right? They're droids, they ain't clone, you know what I'm saying? This is the real deal. Yo, Mando, you know, he fights he almost like gets mopped by it, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I mean? You got all these Dark Troopers coming. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And you know, homeboy comes through. It's like crazy.
The Dark Trooper sequence, like especially with them powering up, they had like the kind of lights and the music going with it. Did that feel real anime-esque to anybody?
Oh yes, man. I felt like so much like a definitely like an anime scene. Right. I also I don't know what you feel about Car. I also caught like a Terminator vibe too.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely Terminator vibe. You know, they definitely had a whole different kind of music, you know, playing, you know, when they were, you know, dealing with them and laying the groundwork, you know. Yeah, I mean, that scene was terrifying. You know, you felt the tension as, you know, as Din Djarin was trying to get, you know, to the hole to keep them locked in there. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, and you know, and yeah, and that you know, Dark Trooper starts to get busy, you know, real quick. And like you said, it was a very much, you know, a Terminator vibe, kind of a General Grievous vibe. You know what I'm saying? That you know, that the Dark Troopers had, you know, and it was like an ill plan. You know, I think one of the other, you know, interesting things was the scene, you know, where Bo-Katan, you know, is really kind of the field general. You know what I mean? Like Bo-Katan comes up with the plan, you know,
right?
And it shows like kind of her military, you know, prowess, you know,
right?
And like with all of them at the table, like the person that's going to come up with the plan is Bo-Katan. You know,
right.
You know what I'm saying? No, that was ill.
That character development though, like from the time when she was only an animated character, you know what I mean? Just seeing like the development where they brought her to the point where she's fully realized she's an adult and she's a badass leader of a sect of badass people. Like, yo, like I thought that like she killed it all the way through the end of the episode with the Darksaber conflict. Like, yo, she killed it. I can't even. I'm ashamed I can't name the actress right now off the top of my head.
Oh, Katie Sackhoff.
Yep. I just watched her in another movie as well. She did an amazing job.
Yeah, Katie Sackhoff, and as many folks who know who are big, you know, fans of the animated series, that she also played, you know, Bo-Katan. You know, she was also the voice actress.
The voice, yeah.
I love that.
You know, of Bo-Katan. So I'm sure it's a great experience for her. And actually, she posted something on social media, I think yesterday, with her dad on the bridge,
Yeah.
of the ship, like when I guess whenever they shot, this episode, and I guess her dad is a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was like a really, really big thrill for her dad, you know what I mean? To be a part of that and to think about the scene that took place, on the bridge with the return of Skywalker, once again, and it was, and yeah, so like just to give folks who are watching, this is episode 2 of Lando's Palace. We're here with Nate Broaddus and Lukman Abdul Salam, and I am your co-host, Kahari Mosley, and we are going over Mandalorian chapter 16. And as we said, the crew, they kidnap Dr. Pershing, and they link up with Cosca Reeves and Bo-Katan at a bar. And then right then there's like a wild scene with Cosca Reeves and Boba Fett getting into a beef, and
Right.
and kind of, just talking real greasy to Boba Fett, you know what I mean? Like, putting his clone lineage on blast,
Right.
and yeah, man, that was wild, man. That was a wild scene right there.
Yeah, she basically said like you just talk a lot of stuff, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not a
You
real
know what I mean?
Mandalorian.
You're not a real
clone.
Mandalorian, and you're a myth. You know what I'm saying? She like basically, man, broke his whole thing down. Yeah, you're right, man. I just want to add. Go ahead, Nate.
No, do your thing. I was just gonna agree with you, but I think the ill part is that Boba Fett don't care. He doesn't care about being a Mandalorian.
Right,
he wants to rock that armor because lasers bounce off it. That's the only thing he's invested in.
Right. He don't care. He don't care not one.
Right.
I just wanted to add. I think Bo-Katan is one of now in Star Wars lore is one of the dopest characters. You know what I'm saying? Like she's one of the favorite characters, not only for men, but for women as well. You know what I'm saying? For young girls.
Right.
Like she's like her character arc is like right there now. You know what I mean? It's one of the favorite characters, I feel. That's kind of the sense I got. You know what I mean? I don't know how y'all feel about that, right?
You've watched more of her than I have. You know what I mean? So I would love y'all opinions on this. Are her and Ahsoka now two of the most developed characters in Star Wars right now?
I mean, they're getting, I mean, because they've had so much, you know what I mean, so much story time, you know what I mean, 7 seasons, the Clone War, Star Wars Rebels, you know what I mean. So yeah, I would say at this point, I think there's just a less of a audience that's peeped the cartoons, and I think part of what this is also Dave Filoni's, sneaky way of getting folks over the course of this year.
Right.
I gotta get into these animated series, you know what I'm saying, so I can really get the background on Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and obviously Thrawn is probably going to be a part, of these future, series as well. So to get that background, folks are going to want to go back to those animated series.
And those are Dave Filoni's, like, pets. You know what I mean? I mean, Ahsoka is his character, basically. That's his character that he introduced through George, you know what I mean, in Clone Wars, that George gave the okay to. And George said he wanted to kill her off like a couple times, you know what I mean? And he almost killed her off. But Dave Filoni said no, he blocked it and kept it. And there's actually points in the Clone Wars where you could see she almost would have got killed. She would have got killed at this point. You know what I mean? Right. So I think her character is a little bit more developed than Bo-Katan at this point. But Bo-Katan got crazy character development in the last 5 episodes. You know what I mean? In Star Wars Rebels, she's kind of introduced, and you kind of introduced to the overall story of Mandalore. You know, she's there, but her character development started more so during the episodes. If you you know what I mean, right, Kay? You'd agree. Whereas Ahsoka's kind of was more so in the Clone Wars, more developed more. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes. So like we said, so there was this beef between Cosca Reeves and Boba Fett. They get it on. And then another great line from Bo-Katan. She says, because they both start shooting their flamethrowers at each other. And she says, if we showed that same kind of fight to the Imperials, you know what I mean, we would have never lost our planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so then they end up, all on the same team. Bo-Katan comes up with the plan, like Nate said, and they make this daring attempt to actually fly basically the equivalent of an airport runway, you know what I mean, to ensure that none of the TIE fighters, you know what I'm saying, that none of the TIE fighters can come out and get Boba Fett. You know what I'm saying? And then also to kind of just create a crisis and get onto the actual ship, which was one of the many kind of very suspenseful moments. You could really feel the suspense, as Bo-Katan pulled off like the daring aerial maneuver.
Hey man, how did y'all feel when y'all saw the TIE fighters, man? How did you feel?
Yeah, that was dope. The kind of behind the scenes, a quick behind the scenes look at the engineering and how they, that was ill. That was ill.
I was like crazy, man, seeing a TIE fighter, man.
Yo, Car, I do gotta correct you. I think maybe because I feel like they weren't flying that thing to stop them TIE fighters from coming out. And the only reason I say that is because I think 2 TIE fighters made it out.
Right.
And Boba Fett's like flying, chasing them, fake shooting at the shuttle. You know what I mean? Not really trying to hit him. And then as soon as the shuttle made it and he broke off, those guns spun around and knocked those 2 TIE fighters out the air. To me, that was such a stunning scene because you were just like, all right, like this was really a game they were playing. You know what I mean? Like he could have killed all these folks instantly if he really wanted to.
Right. Yeah, Slave One, man. I mean, Boba Fett and Slave One,
that was crazy too, seeing that ship, seeing it go off, you know what I mean? Because we only saw Slave One a little bit, you know what I mean, in the first, but seeing it now, seeing it get busy, oh man, that was a whole joy. That was like bringing a whole childhood back. Like that's exactly how it should look. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yo, in the first series, I feel like what they were really just giving us a Slave One was like, hey, the outline of this ship looks cool. You know what I mean? Like the silhouette of it, really, that's what it was. When it stands up to fly, doesn't that look cool? You know what I mean? Now we're just like, yo, it really does all that crazy stuff that made it do.
Right.
But that was dope in the previous episode with Bill Burr when they're inside Slave Run and you get to see the engineering, a similar kind of behind the scenes look as they do with the TIE fighters being deployed. It was the same kind of look, like, oh, this is kind of what it looks like. This is how the ship works. Where the bottom, where the inside kind of rotates. That was dope. You know what I mean? That was crazy. And as the story goes on, Mando comes behind the crew of Casca Reeves, Cara Dune, Fennec, and Bo-Katan. And they just run up in the spot. You know what I'm saying? They just run. They just run up. They run up in the spot, and then Mando.
But hold it, Corey. When they go up in the spot, though, when they get on the ship, man, they catch a wreck or don't they catch wreck?
Right.
I mean, golly, man. I mean, they was just knocking all of them. Man, they're shooting. How they took over that joint was just like crazy. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is all over the place.
Man, when Cara Dune and them are and when they're going across that bridge, they shoot a couple stormtroopers. The other 2 dive over the sides and then they're like caught in the middle.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Exactly. That's what I mean.
It was too raw. They were really like, and the thing is, if you're a stormtrooper, like you already know what it is. You know what I mean? Like you're probably gonna die. Hello? Yeah, you're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
And they're really sitting there like fish in a barrel. You know what I mean? And it was easy, and it was like the most elite death squad that could have possibly walked onto your ship at that time. It was
exactly.
Right. And then how they established that was like a force field off the thing where the one stormtrooper fell out, into the vacuum of space. How they could with the jetpacks jump off the side and just and just lay, and that led to obviously the incredible scene, with. Din Djarin facing off, with the Dark Trooper. He almost gets to the hold, before they activate.
Right.
One Dark Trooper gets in there, and it just turns into like a throwback to like Terminator. Just like the body movements and the punching. The Beskar. You know what I mean? And how everything behind him, he was like punching them into the wall.
Oof.
The only thing that was protecting him was the Beskar. You know what I mean? That was good.
Yo, man, that was crazy, man. It felt like Terminator. You know what I mean? It felt like Terminator. The close combat. You know what I'm saying? Real close combat. Real close to each other. You know what I mean? And he barely got away from that cat. Barely. Barely. It took him everything just to get that one cat up off of him, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, that was vicious. I mean, obviously the Beskar spear that was won, in the episode The Jedi, obviously, that was foreshadowing, and obviously it was the only thing that survived the destruction of the Razor Crest. And that's what got him through that, that one. But not the whole platoon, that when the whole platoon started coming.
Nah, it would have been, yeah. And can I say something about the spear,
Sure.
man? That was his like go-to weapon. You notice that? Like
right.
After he got it over the last couple episodes, particularly this episode, that's the main thing he was using. And not only that, that's the main thing that saved him. You know what I'm saying? Like that spear, not only with the Dark Trooper, but also with Marv against, fighting against the Dark Saber. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what saved him. So it's like interesting, man. Like obviously, yeah, the foreshadowing, but that spear, he's like, well, are we going to see him use it? Yeah, we saw him use it.
Right.
He used that joint. He had to.
Right.
He would always go to it too. That'd be like his first joint he go to.
Right.
You notice that he'll pull out his gun, but then he'll go to that. Like, oh, I need my joint. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nate, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I thought it was ill, man. How with the Dark Troopers, because I feel like if the Empire has a tough time making like a hard infantry threat, right? Like all their infantry units are all one hit quits. Like, you know what I'm saying? You shoot a stormtrooper, that armor is obviously like paper. You know what I mean? Like they got the illest stormtroopers of all time. They got 100 different types of them, and they're all one hit quits. So it's really ill for them to really put something out there like the Dark Troopers, where when these things come, like you're probably gonna die. And like the only thing that can save you is if Luke Skywalker magically pops up. You know what I mean? So like I thought it was ill, man. I thought everything about him was crazy. I thought that his fight with that Dark Trooper, like obviously, it's Mando at Star Wars. Like I know Mando's not gonna die, but it really felt like his life was in danger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he was getting his head punched through the wall. I was fully. The only thing that could have made that seem better to me is if after all the punches in the helmet, if his helmet would have came up completely mangled.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would have been ill to me. But like, yeah, I loved it, man.
Right. Now you're right. Now that was definitely that the suspense, outside of the whole, with the Dark Troopers, was palpable. I was sitting there like, how is he going to get out of this? I was feeling, the stress of the moment, you know what I mean? Much more so than I have at any point, in the series where I was like, I don't know how he's going to get out of this one. This
Corey, I felt the same way. I was like, what's going to happen here? And that goes to what we were saying in the beginning, like the suspense points. Like every 6th or 7th minute of this episode, there was something like, oh my goodness, what's happening here? You know what I'm saying? Like what's about to happen? Somebody's about to like take a L, or like this is going to be real crazy. And that was one of the most serious suspense points, up to the point where all of them landed and came to the, you know what I'm saying? But wait, he goes up in and now he's about to fight Moff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He got to fight Moff too. Now he got to now they got to fight. You know what I'm saying? And like the funny thing about Moff Gideon, you said something to me offline, Corey, like after episode 1, we were talking on the phone. You said Moff Gideon is one of the best Star Wars villains already.
Right.
After season 1, you said that to me, right?
Right.
You remember saying that to me?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He did not disappoint this season, man.
No.
And he was always on the sneak tip. Like he's that villain that made you laugh, yo. Like, when I'm like, yo, he about to be on the sneak tip again, yo. He was always on the sneak tip all the time, yo. Like,
right.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead and do that. Next, I'm gonna come back behind you with the dark saber, He's a funny dude, man. His character was so funny. I mean, obviously he was a villain, but he was funny in how he approached. You know what I mean? And how he snuck around and how he did the things he did. That's all I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And then we'll go to Nate in 1 second. Absolutely. I mean, going back to the the ending episodes in season 1, where he talks about disgraced magistrate Grief Karga, and Cara Dune, Rebel Dropper, and then that's how we found out his name. Din Djarin. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, he was just like, you know, with the Night of 1,000 Tears. You know what I'm saying? He starts, you know, and it was so poetic, but it was just so like, you know, sinister. You know what I mean? I was just like, man, Moff Gideon, you know, is an ill dude, and like you said, he didn't disappoint. I mean, he brought, you know, such a unique flavor, you know, to that final scene. You know, and I love how they use him to explain the tension that Bo-Katan was feeling. Instead of Bo-Katan saying it, it was just her facial expressions, and then you know, and then his cynicism kind of mixed together. You know what I mean? It was like her literal shock, you know, mixed. You know what I mean?
Yo, man, but she had the same facial expressions in Star Wars Rebels when it was brought to her in Star Wars Rebels. You know what I mean? She acted the same way. You know what I mean? And I expected her to take it like she did in Star Wars Rebels, right? Like, okay, I'm just gonna take the joint. You know what I'm saying? Because she did the same thing. She had the same facial expression and everything, but this time she didn't take it. You know what I'm saying? But I got a little theory on that. You know, we'll get to that though. Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, man. Hey, I thought Giancarlo Esposito did his thing. Honestly, it was an absolute privilege and a pleasure to be able to watch that man be able to like insert himself into the Star Wars universe and kind of like give his flavor to that role. And I think that, you know, like the Imperial officers, like, I mean, if you read, if you're into Star Wars books, novels and stuff, you get some more of their personalities. If you watch like a lot of the film, you know, a lot of them are kind of just like, could be cardboard cutouts. You know what I mean? I think he did a great job of like giving a lot of personality to that role, man. And like every time when he was on the screen, he stole the scene. You know, when he popped out of that TIE fighter at the end of season 1, when he cut his way out of that TIE fighter and we saw the Darksaber, that's when I was like, yo, this is really a show that I'm trying to, like, this is something I can get behind. You know what I mean? Like, I'm into this. I'm into this. You know, like he killed it. Look at his facial expression on the screencast right there. Like he was acting. You know what I mean? And, like, and the fact that a lot of the time, like his motivation was that Green was Baby Yoda. You know what I mean? A lot of time he was acting next to a puppet. You know what I mean? On screen, like he did his thing, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, that was like, you know, almost basically like stage play acting. You know what I'm saying? Like that scene, you know, when he came in, it was like going to like a play. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, and he was just, you know, he was like in straight like August Wilson, you know what I'm saying?
right.
Had a black repertory theater mode, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He was just having a blast at that point, you know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, those yours now.
Right.
Yours.
right.
Yo, when he was talking about the to Bo-Katan about the darks, like you were just talking about the Darksaber, like he could have been a narrator. He could have been narrating a scene. You know what I mean?
Right.
In that, you know what I mean? Like he was just doing like then she did a great job with her face acting, like, you know what I mean? And but it just brought the whole scene together. Like this guy who, you know, great actor, but this character who's like this sniveling piece of crap guy. You know what I mean? Like he's been threatening the baby the whole for multiple episodes, and now he's telling these Mandalorians like how everything's about to go.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, man, he did a great job.
Even when Din Djarin like had him down, you know, he didn't kill him. He was like, oh, you gonna let me live? Oh, okay, this is gonna be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, like, oh, all right, it ain't over then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you get the sense that it still may not be. You know what I'm saying with him, but you know, who knows?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, now he really, you know, brought, you know, something unique, and obviously he doesn't die, so, you know, it's going to be interesting.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
What his role, you know, because clearly, you know, Cara Dune is going to be the main character of this Rangers of the New Republic. You know, that's kind of the information that's out there right now, is that, you know, Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, is going to be like the main person of the Rangers of a New Republic. So I can see that storyline continuing on, you know, through Rangers of a New Republic, you know, and what happens with Moff Gideon. You know, do they, you know, obviously they're going to interrogate him and try to find out, you know, what he knows. And, you know, because I guess he was Imperial intelligence.
Right. And who he's connected to.
I would love to see some content with the Empire as the protagonist. That would be interesting to me.
Right.
The rescue Moff Gideon, that would be an interesting thing to me. Like, yo, I want to see them come out, and I want to see, like we were talking about, that, like seeing the internal workings with the TIE fighters and stuff. I want to see all that, because I think that that's kind of one of the things about the Empire is it's this giant thing that's really shrouded behind mystery. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just think it'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. Right. You know, as we look right now at obviously one of the poignant moments in the episode, Din Djarin coming in with, Moff Gideon in custody wielding the Darksaber, you know what I mean? And this raises the point that technically, you know what I'm saying, Din Djarin is Mandalore now. You know what I'm saying? He is the leader, of the Mandalorian people, and the rightful heir, to the throne, regardless of, the princesses, you know what I'm saying? And I guess Luke, we could get into that now before we get into big, well, actually the two big, the big announcement in the show and then the post announcement after the show. So just talk a little bit about, because people have noted that Bo-Katan was given it once before, like, you know what I mean? So people were saying, like, are they retconning history again within the universe by now having this element of, now there's a disclaimer, that but I'm gonna give my quick theory, and then you jump. My theory is maybe because she lost it to him. If you lose it to somebody, the only way you can get it back is if you defeat someone in battle to get it back, if you lost it in battle. But I would love to hear your theory.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. Do we know? Like, we don't know, because even in season 1, how did Moff get it? How did he get it? Right. That's still kind of like, how did that happen? And then when the first thing she said, though, Carl, if you notice, is like, she said, what happened? Right? That was her first question when he came in with the saber. She said, what happened? Like, what went down? You know what I mean? Did he give it to you? Right? And he was like, and then Moff was like, nah, see, he was just all looking at it like, nah, you might have to fight him for it, because he basically fought me and he won. You know what I mean? And at that point, I think she said, no, Din Djarin, you're the man. You're Mandalorian. I think at that point, she's like, he's the rightful heir. I think at that point, she made that decision, because he's the one that ordered them to open the door. You know what I mean? He was like, open the door. They were like, you're crazy. She didn't say nothing. She didn't say that. She was leading the mission, yo. She's the one that set the mission off, right? She was leading the mission. She set the mission off. She didn't say nothing when he was like, open the door. You know what I'm saying? And it got quiet. So that's my little theory that they're going to get into in season 3, that he's the rightful heir, and that they're going to go back to Mandalore and get busy and set things right. But we could be wrong. You know what I mean? But I think that when he gave it to her, she was like, nah, man, you're the one. And she just couldn't say it at that point. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're going to find out in season 3. But we could be very wrong. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think? Because the same thing happened in Star Wars Rebels. That's all I'm saying. And she kind of took it. And if you go back to Star Wars Rebels, when she took it, it was kind of like, you know what I mean? All right. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, yeah, give me that. You know what I mean? Even in Star Wars Rebels, it was like, okay, I'm gonna get this joint. You know what I'm saying, Corey? It was that same vibe, right? Whereas this time I thought she was going to take it, but she was like, no. Because Din Djarin, he's the man. He is Mandalorian. He's the rightful heir. In this whole episode, and he took off his helmet. You know what I'm saying? He took off his helmet. So it's like, yo, and he started taking off his helmet more often this episode. He took it off, and the last, like, we started seeing him more the last 3 episodes. His face more.
Right. Well,
what I mean? So yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting, things to me is, is because they kind of had a deal. That's kind of was like an element of it. They kind of had a deal. And he told her, remember the part where he's like, you can have anything you want. I just want to save the child. So then he relinquished, you know what I'm saying, as we bring Big Phil into the mix. So does he relinquish the throne, because part of the deal was to give her anything she wanted, you know what I'm saying, because You know what I mean? All he wanted was the kid. He's like, you can have anything you want. You know what I'm saying? I just want to save the kid.
Yeah.
I didn't go into that scene really feeling like she really wanted that Darksaber like that. I felt like Moff Gideon was juicing up was putting the battery in her back in that situation to kind of like create some conflict there. But like I didn't feel like her motivation for that Darksaber was super high at that point in the season. You know what I mean? I do feel like I do feel like going forward there's some conflict because now she's like, all right, like maybe this dude was right. You know what I mean? But like in that moment while watching the episode, I didn't feel that conflict for her.
I felt like she was in a state of shock. You know,
right.
You know, I felt like she was like in a state of shock. You know what I'm saying? But Big Phil, you jump in, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brothers. I'm just trying to see where we at right now. I know y'all touched on probably a whole bunch of different things already. So I'm kind of just, I'm trying to just make,
Yeah, we're kind of just talking about, the Darksaber conflict. So we're like before you realize that the Dark Troopers are coming back. You know what I'm saying? It's just that moment. You know what I'm saying?
I think that whole Darksaber situation, that took me for a trip. I was like, oh, this was really happening. You know what I mean? So that was crazy to me. I'm thinking the whole time she wanted to deal with my man. Her entire reasoning was she wanted the Darksaber back. So that's going to add a twist for what's coming next.
Right.
And I know I touched on this real quick, all of 6 seconds. The thing I wanted to say was the beautiful thing about this episode as a whole is just the fact that you have Jon Favreau and Dave, whoever his name is, who writes these episodes. They just get it. They understand it. Whereas for years, well, not for years, the last 2, they were trying to differentiate between we're going to service the fans, we're going to do this new stuff or whatever. But when you got source material, when you stick, there's a reason why people love Star Wars, and this episode showed what it was all about. And what's dope to me is the guy who directed this one is going to be the guy who directs the new Ant-Man film.
Right.
So to me, I'm really looking forward to that too. Because I'm like, okay, So okay, so I'm gonna sit back and let y'all, get into where we at, so I can just fall in place.
Yeah. No, that's a great segue because now right as the moment of tension with Bo-Katan's trying to process, you know what I mean, Lando walking in holding the Darksaber, trying to figure out what's going on. The alarm goes back off, and they realize the Dark Troopers, are coming back, and now. That's that tension that we were feeling earlier in the episode, is right back. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We got the Dark Troopers, they eventually get on the ship and make it all the way to the door of the bridge. And, they're pounding on the door. And, at this point, like Moff Gideon says, is we all know that y'all guys are gonna make a valiant stand and everybody's gonna be dead except me and the child. And at that point, we're all like bugging out, like, yo,
right?
What is about to happen now?
Right.
Can we also point out from a filmmaker's perspective that I said last episode that I never felt like the Mandalorian was in trouble, and I made a point to say that was my only issue with the show. It wasn't necessarily, it was just a critique. You got to critique everything. That was my main issue with the show. This particular episode, they were able to make you suspend belief of what you was watching and being like, oh, he's in trouble. This is a problem. Like it had like Alfred Hitchcock type tension.
Right.
It was the classic opening up the blast doors. That's a Star Wars trope that you have to do that. But it was done in such a way that you were worried. In the beginning, you're like, okay, they're gonna figure out a way to get through this. Oh my gosh. One gets through. Okay, it's crazy. Oh wait. Okay, fine. Oh wait, no, they're all coming back, and you're sitting there like, "There's no way. There's no way this is going to end right." And but let me stop. Keep going.
No,
that's perfect.
No. Hey, Phil, man, how did you? We got on this a little bit before, man. But what did you think about the Dark Troopers? Period. Like, how did you feel about? Did you feel like it was like?
At first, I'm like, once again, I don't like some of the. I never liked the little droid troopers in the prequels that were corny. I don't like some of the little bulky ones that just stand there and run like they're in the Revolutionary War. But that's George Lucas doing. He's doing what he do. But
Right.
the Dark Troopers, they got that old 1950s, 40s sci-fi look, and
Right.
the force sensitive. I mean, Favreau is
Right.
still going with these original designs, but
Right.
the fact that they were just so dope though. Like
Yeah,
I'm like
right.
I'm
Right.
like watching. I'm like, okay, they're so synchronized. I'm like, okay, man, these are gonna be corny. It's gonna be some super slow machine that can't do nothing.
Right.
And when he was
Yo,
hitting,
Phil.
yeah,
Hey, when they were, I was just saying this to these guys earlier, but when they were powering up and were doing like the little music, they would cut away, they had the music, then the eyes and whatever. Didn't that give you a real anime vibe? Like I was getting big, like
you know,
that's
they're powering up. And for me, so it gave me more of an old school Flash Gordon 1940s 50s
I see.
episode. I'm thinking like it was like Buck Rogers. Like to me, it was like, okay,
Right.
we're going to power up, but of course we're going to stop right when it gets to 99%. And Mando's going to save the day. Like so for me, I'm sitting the whole time. I'm sitting with my daughter and I'm saying, they're doing all of this and they're not going to get powered up. It always happens. I said to her, and I said to Corey, I called you. I said, this was like in Civil War when Captain was getting ready to go fight because Winter Soldier was like, there's more Winter Soldiers. I'm like, oh, there's no way they could beat these dudes. And they get there, and Baron Zemo done already killed them. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to get there. They're going to, the plans are going to work. This is Star Wars, man. The plans are going to work. They're not in danger. There's nothing. But when that bad boy stuck his arms through there, man, and came out, I said,
I'm
what?
like,
I was like, I said, oh, I said, what? And then when he jettisoned him out, my goofy self, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, wait, man, these ain't humans. These bad boys fly. I'm like, I was even thinking that, because that shows how good Favreau and having a good director on the film, that editing, it takes you were so, I think each of us were so caught up in that moment that it was literally a Star Wars moment.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was also something bigger. That I don't think we've ever had that type of moment, that feeling on television as a
Nah,
first on
man. Yeah.
television.
Wow. Amazing. Didn't it feel like the Terminator too a little bit? Did it give
So
you
like
that
all
feel?
that, I mean,
Yeah,
it
all of
gave me
that,
all
right?
of that. It gave me
Yeah,
every.
yeah, yeah.
It gave everybody that grew up in the '80s,
Yeah, yeah,
grew
yeah.
up in the '70s,
hey,
but
hey,
watched the
Favreau could have
movies in
threw
the
a little
'80s.
Iron Man in there too.
What'd you say?
I said Favreau could have threw a little Iron Man in there too, just for good
You
measure.
know
Like
he,
Right.
he
he was
did.
throwing a little everything in the pot.
Hey,
Right.
he did that. He did it at the end. He definitely did it at the end when he brought back the cutscene. Come on, man. He said, "Look, I'm
Right.
doing all of this." He said, "Look, I'm securing my jobs, man. I'm coming back. I'm working with these people." Hey, I
Right.
know J.J. Abrams and them, when they watched that, I know they were sitting there saying, because they had a big task ahead of them. So I can't, there's so much that goes into the movies that's more than a TV show. So I can't, I can't talk about that. But I know when they watched that, I know they sat back and said, damn, we had a chance to have those type of moments. And I think when he came back and did the third one, he tried to do that, because when the dude from the second one did whatever he did with Luke, which we was talking about last week,
Right.
and so I know this dog ain't come up in here. Go on, man. Nobody's like playing with you, man. Please. Bye, cuz. Peace. So anyway, Jesus Christ. So anyway, it was just gave us the moment that we was all looking for. I feel like, and I feel like he did it perfectly. And I feel like this is watching forward. These other people gonna have problems. If Patty, what's her name, is not a Star Wars fan, she's going to get destroyed when she does this Rogue Squadrons or whatever she's about to do. Because now the fans expect this type of service. You can't give me this on TV and not give me bigger moments in the movies.
Right.
You can't. You can't. You just in Star Wars films, and the Star Wars is all about big moments.
Well, I think
geeked for Rogue One.
I think with Dave Filoni now over on the live action side and consulting with them cats and being more involved, and that's kind of what we're hearing. I think we're going to get more of this. You know what I'm saying?
I hope so.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right now, and that brings us to this juncture. You know, in the story. So as the Dark Troopers are pounding on the door, and it looks very gloomy. Moff Gideon's reaching for the hammer. He's reaching for the heater. He's making his own side move because he feels really comfortable. And then
right.
X-wing fighter pulls up, and the famous line by now famous line by Cara Dune, which is only 48 hours old, is only one X-wing. Oh, we're saved.
Yeah. That's gonna save us.
Hey, first of all, is there, Phil, you always talking about like Mando never being in danger. Am I the only person whenever Moff Gideon was swinging that Darksaber at him, I'm just like, Mando, if you don't take that joint off him and beat him with it, like, that's the whole time. I'm just like, all right, any moment now, he's about to slap this 60-year-old man, take his sword off him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Moff, my thing with Moff, I had to give it to Moff because for one, he had on like Darth Vader's outfit without the helmet, so I knew he was the boss. Like that's like the boss outfit. And these dudes be like 115 and be more agile than dudes who are 22 in these films. So I can't. We see the Emperor; he's like as old as Julius Caesar, man. He's just out to do anybody the business. So. But my thing though, it's weird to me because I never, maybe I should know better. The beef between Mandalorians and Jedi. I didn't know that there was this extra, this particular friction per se. And I think they kind of created that only in the Mandalorian, because I don't think that was a thing. I may be wrong. But it's just. You got the Mando still that's able to block everything. That's another thing that made me worry. I was like, man, you can't even cut through that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Nate, man, I think Moff Gideon, I think he's force sensitive. That's just my theory. I think he has a little bit of that. You know what I mean? Because they were kind of alluding to it because he would kind of, you know what I mean? He kind of knew about Dooku. He knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? He would kind of feel certain things. You know what I mean? And he just didn't feel Luke coming though. He ain't know that was the Jedi. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was the only thing that he ain't know. But he kind of knew.
That's why.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah.
No, my bad. I apologize.
Yeah,
but I was just gonna say I agree. I felt like that's why I felt like he was like manipulating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep on forgetting the young lady's name.
But he respects the Force. He respects the dark side and the light side. I mean, otherwise, he's not trying to get the baby. Otherwise, he's not talking about the properties that this child has. So he does have knowledge. I watched something, where they were talking about, we'll probably get to that. But I know when he first sees Luke, he's like, oh, like this is a guy who probably, like they were saying, most likely fought in Clone Wars. This is somebody, who's been there. You don't have that outfit because you only been there for 5 years.
Right.
You've been there. You was at some of the Zoom meetings with Darth Vader.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Right.
I get that.
Right now, but to Phil, to speak to your one point, in the old expanded universe, in the old expanded universe, the Mandalorians and the Jedi were ancient rivals, and part of the Mandalorian culture was warfare, of course, and part of the culture was to train with the ability to take on the greatest challenge in the galaxy, which was always the Knights of the Jedi Order. But that's expanded universe stuff. I don't know how much of that is going to make it into the canon, per se, with the new Disney stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much, of those stories.
It's fan service. It's fan service.
And Carl, you can agree with me with this, Carl. All you could do is go back to Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you'll kind of get a sense of like what was happening as well with Mandalore. You know what I mean? From those episodes in Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars as well.
Right.
Can we bring up one point too that I want to point out too that I said to Brother Cardi the other day. I said, this episode was violent. It wasn't action packed. This was violent. There's a difference. We're shooting people in the face, point blank range. We're choking people up. We're breaking necks. We're sticking like. And the other ones, you're shooting, lightsaber cut to you, all that stuff. And it's cool.
Right.
It's done a certain way. But this was like that second, not the last joint for the last, like in the red room, they were fighting. That wasn't just an action sequence. That was a violent sequence. And you don't get a lot of those in Star Wars. You get dope action sequences, but when I say violence, I mean like, you could have put Conan in there if you wanted to. You know what I mean? So I thought that was good.
Hey, Phil, I want to piggyback on that because I agree with you. I agree with you. And because I know y'all watched some cartoons in the 80s and before that, whenever they don't want to get super violent, whenever they want to have like an action scene, but they don't want it to get real violent, what do? They put robots in, right?
Yeah, it was robots or
they use robots.
Monster.
That's why that's why the Dark Troopers were perfect because Luke could come in there and go as ham as he wants. He could do everything he wants. If they were to have stormtroopers in those same scenes, there would be blood all over there.
Right.
Stormtrooper body parts all over the
Right. For sure.
And they made it a point to point out that the Dark Troopers they got rid of the human element because that was one thing that was holding them back. So they made sure to that there was nothing human in there. But even with that, the Mando was very violent in how he dealt with the stormtroopers.
Yes, he was.
Oh yeah,
the Beskar still up against the one's neck and crushed them. So they were on a different level.
But wait, man. See, since Kahari got these images up, man, did everyone get goosebumps?
Man, Luke, I lost my mind.
Man, when the ship landed, did everyone get goosebumps from the music, from the tension? Who is it? And then we kind of glimpsed because when they said it was the ship from the ship, you knew it was Luke, and then you see the hand. It's like this is Luke Skywalker, man. He got all black on. Oh my goodness! And I thought of you, man, Phil, because you said last week you said you wanted to see Luke get what? You wanted to see him get bit.
I told you.
Yo, that was his Rogue One thing.
Yo,
get busy. I said, and I also said, and not to pat myself on the back, double pat. I said every episode got bigger. I said you cannot end this episode without a big payoff.
Yes, sir.
I said you can't do it. You can't bring in all these fan service and people are like, oh, this is crazy. You can't end the last episode without bringing in Luke or Mace. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it and tell me we gotta wait till Christmas. You couldn't. There's no way you could do it. You couldn't do it. Man, they forced themselves. And I'm gonna be honest. It was also pointing me. I'm watching. I'm like, man, they're not gonna do it. I don't care. I saw the green lightsaber. I'm like, man, they're gonna come up with some character from the cartoon having a lightsaber. They're not gonna do it. And then after a while, I was like, oh, that's Luke. I was like, well, that's Luke right there, man. That was the 10-year-old kid who watched Star Wars.
Yo, man.
Come on, man. I was hyped. I lost my mind, dude.
Man, my goodness, man. Just the tension of the scene.
I'm sorry, Luke. I was going to say that kind of goes to what we were talking about last time about how, when they were doing those movies originally, they didn't have the technology, the choreography, or the ability to make some of those fight scenes the way they did now. Because
I'm gonna need you to stop saying that, Operation Nathan. You could do the fight scenes like that.
No. I'm saying but they weren't doing fight scenes like. If you were to go to, they weren't doing. They were doing in Star Wars with the technology, the ability to have a laser light sword and all that stuff. Like it was tough to be able to do that. But now, I feel like Disney, they take it to the next level. What I really wanted to say is that. I was almost convinced for a while that they had found a young actor that looked just like Mark Hamill to play that role. So I go Google. I'm like, who is this young brother they found to play Mark Hamill? And I'm like, yo, that's Mark Hamill. That's Mark Hamill. That was my man. Yo, the technology, bro. The technology. Oh my goodness.
That totally tripped me. I didn't even. I was like, I didn't even think of that. You know what I mean? But just how they built that up. I mean, he comes on. He lands. Okay, who is it? Then he gets out, and you don't know who he is. He's hooded up, right? And he's smashing all of them, right? and then he gets on the elevator, and then they pause it again. It's like, and then it's like all the way up to the 9th floor or whatever floor he gets off. Ding, and then he comes out, and it's like on. Oh, you know, oh
Right,
my
right.
goodness, from the music to the tempo. And I wonder how Brother Farouk feels, because I thought the choreography, you know what I'm saying, and that fight
Oh,
scene was ill.
he
And I
FaceTimed me. He FaceTimed me right after. So yeah, he was hot. He was hot.
and like Nate said, man, that was Rogue One. That was probably the best live action Jedi sequence, and it's comparable to Vader getting busy. The only thing is this was longer. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a little theory that I want to throw off to Kahari, but I'll wait. You know what I'm saying about that whole thing, about the whole parallel between this scene and Rogue One.
Right, right. Yeah, not yeah, I'll jump in on that. Yeah, like, I mean, that was clearly, I felt, as part of what they were trying to pull off. Was to kind of with the fans, give the fans what they were given at the end of Rogue One, and obviously the icing on the cake was the Force squeeze, where he straight up just crushed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Yeah, my
You know what I mean?
goodness.
We just crushed, the Dark Trooper with his hands. You know what I'm saying? That was just like,
Yo, he was pulling them close to him and then swiping them. He was
right. And
forcing
then,
them.
it was
Oh.
crazy because like the Dark Trooper started letting off shots just off the tension and getting crushed. You know what I mean? It was just like a reaction. He just started letting off shots. He couldn't even do nothing. And then just crushed them from the inside. That was just like, whoa.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Favreau was flexing. He flexed on him. Favreau put it peep game. Favreau probably talked so much shit to these guys, man. Listen, Favreau's like, look, you see Marvel's a big $1 billion franchise. You see what I did with Iron Man player? This is what I do. 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 He went in there and he sat with his guys and he said, okay, Star Wars Rogue One, okay. I see what y'all doing. We're gonna really go there. And he went there. Like he
Yeah.
like even when he did Iron Man, he did, okay, I'm gonna do Iron Man, but Iron Man that's in his first gray suit, that was in the first 2-3 issues. Don't nobody know about that but straight comic book cats. I'm gonna mention the Mandarin. I'm gonna mention this. I'm gonna mention that. I'm gonna do all these different type of things that people who may like Iron Man don't know nothing about this Iron Man. Like he's always been about
Justin
that
Hammer, yo.
research and giving you what you want. Like you don't. That's what puts him in a totally different echelon. Like this is a dude. This is like LeBron talking about, I'm about to go play for another team.
Right.
Like Fab, they might as well just give Favreau the keys to Disney. Man, let's go do what you want to do. Do what you want to do, because right now he don't put, he done made it hot for everybody. And I'm gonna keep it 100 too. He done made it a problem. Because now everything is going to be compared to this. There's nothing you can do. First of all, you can't go crazy and put stuff in there because it gotta fit. And I'm pretty sure things go through Favreau at this particular point. But now is at the point where it's like, what are we gonna do next? What's the Boba Fett show gonna look like? What's this show gonna look like? Man, listen. I mean, at this particular point, we need our Luke moments. And guess what? You can't never do that again. That moment will never happen. There's nothing we can do that can top that, because it goes to the one movie where all he did was disappear and stop the shit. Man, come on, man. So for us waiting for 30-something years to be disappointed in that particular film, especially in a film that had that dope Red Room scene. Like, don't give me that dope Red Room scene, and you mean Luke ain't gonna have no crazy scene. That's blasphemy.
Right.
That's blasphemy.
Right.
That's like your ex being able to cook and now your girl can't cook. Like we got a problem here. But then we move to this, and then he gives us everything and it's perfect. Come on, man. There's no complaint.
Yo, you might have broke my heart just now, Phil. So you don't, from what you're saying, it sounds like you don't think we'll see any more Luke for real in the Star Wars universe.
We can see Luke every episode. It's not the same. First time you saw Luke on the screen, when that X-Wing came on, you got goosebumps. You sat there and you lost your mind. It's not going to be the same. It was like the Mandos and all of us, they was watching it on the screen, and we were watching it on the screen at the same time. That is perfect writing. That is great. That is great directing. Like they're watching it, having the same reaction we're having, while we're watching it. You understand what I'm
They're
saying?
like, oh,
You
Yeah.
can't recreate that. What we gonna do? Introduce the Ewoks? Who gives a damn?
Yeah.
See them little teddy bears. We'll
I'm
never
on.
have that. We'll never have that moment again. We'll never have it again. You can
I'm
bring
on a
back
call.
Mace Windu. It's not gonna be the same. It'll be dope,
that's
but it's not gonna be the
crazy.
same.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
we got.
I just want to pull up that visual right there. I felt like that was just such a powerful way to introduce him because you could have easily like when we were talking on on the phone on Friday, you could do like the Saturday Night Live Land Shark thing, which I kind of felt like they did with Palpatine. Where they kind of just did the Land Shark thing, where it was just like, I don't know how many of y'all familiar with the old Saturday Night Live sketch Land Shark, where you knock on the door and there's a shark that can walk on land that eats you when you open the door. You know what I'm saying? But it
Right.
it just kind of comes out of nowhere. I kind of felt like Palpatine was introduced out of nowhere, but how Luke was introduced, first the X-wing, then the silhouette, and then this right here, where we're looking at where they're watching it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? And they're just watching this one dude
Right.
just get, just absolutely just busy. You know what I'm saying? On the screen, like, yo, like what is going on? Like he's just laying waste to these dark troopers, and I just thought that was such a tasteful way, of doing it, you know what I mean, without just kind of like, oh, it's Luke Skywalker, you know what I'm saying? And then he really never really introduced himself. He just, I'm just the cat coming to get Grogu. I need the permission. You know what I'm saying? And then, you had a moment where Grogu finally gets to see, Mando's face. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, solidifies like, their whole journey together.
I wanted to ask you, Kari, real quick, man. Like, I have a little quick theory, you know what I'm saying, about Luke, you know what I mean, Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
And the fact that he came in, and this has to go back to the comic books and what have you, because I know they're playing with the timeline, right? So we don't know how far they are after Return of the Jedi, what have you. But we know that Luke is setting up the new Jedi temple, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So in the comic book situation, he's went through a lot, right? So my point is, where is he at in this? In his development right now? Is he Luke who is being tempted by the dark side? Is he Luke where he was having visions of his father, Darth Vader, because that happened in the comic book, where he was having visions of Darth Vader and he was like connected to Darth Vader and stuff like that? Then he goes to the dark side for a minute. Is this Luke who's married to Mary Jane? Is he married right now? You know what I'm saying? And that created a whole bunch of tension and how he is evolving and how he looks at the Jedi. So, and he had all black on. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to see what you thought about it, Kahari, as far as like him having all black on.
Right.
And then when he comes in, he asks him, "Are you a Jedi?" He says, "Yes, I'm a Jedi." Right?
Yeah.
But then Droku looks at Jordan after, like the look that he gave him was like, "Hold up, man. I don't like that look that the baby gave at the end was like kind of like it was like I didn't know that look. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm here, I'm in the force, I'm all good. It was like almost like he didn't know what was next or what was coming next, right? And for those of you, and I'm done real quick, and for those who don't know about the comic book series with Luke, after Return of the Jedi, the temple gets demolished. You know what I'm saying? So how much are they pulling from that into canon? Where are we at with Luke in his development? So that's just my little thing. When he came on with all black, that was a sign. Like, he's not really the Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. You know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe. He goes through a lot after Return of the Jedi that a lot of, you know what I'm saying, if you're not down with the comic books and the novels, you won't peep. So I wanted to ask what y'all thought about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Somebody want to take that first, and I'll back clean up.
For me, I know. So I think that the Marvel books from the 70s and the 80s are no longer canon.
Right.
For whatever reason, I know those. I know like the books from Dark Horse Comics, and I want to say the new Marvel books are canon. For me, when I saw him come in all black, I said, "Oh, okay, we might have a problem." Because Luke with the dark on it is, he Luke, but he might buy a stolen VCR. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but for me, I feel like that whole moment with I'll say baby Yoda and Mando was just so poignant because it was just baby so close to Mando, but then we also got to remember connection is an issue and a problem. So with him being, we gotta remember that there's going to, so with him leaving, and Luke doesn't take him, doesn't just tell him he has to go. He wants him to go of his own free will. He wants him to make his choice to go and ask for permission from what's his name. I mean, that particular way, that kind of closes that connection in one particular sense. Mando taking his helmet off is a big deal, even though he did it in the other one, but those for two different reasons.
Right.
I was watching somewhere where they were talking about the differences, though. This was actually the first time Mando seen him look like that, because under the helmet it doesn't look like that. It looks like something totally different.
Right.
So, and I didn't catch that, or I don't know if that was just somebody being too deep, but it was reminiscent of when they were talking about how, like, when Darth Vader first looked at Luke, when he said, "Let me take my helmet off, I can see you with my own eyes."
Right.
Because because he didn't see him like that before. You know what I mean? So, and you gotta remember, Mando, at first was reluctant to deal with the baby, and they got to the point where he has a genuine love and he cared for the individual. And even though what's funny is he did what he was supposed to do. He delivered him to a Jedi. And it still was a hard thing for him to just let go. So there's so much in that moment.
Hey man, I feel like y'all not asking the important questions right now, which is, where was Grogu in The Force Awakens?
Right.
Chilling.
Like, did he quit the temple? Did he die?
Right.
Like, those weren't that far apart.
So here's where I get.
Wow.
This is my conversation comes in, where I get mad when I get into this Jedi are mystery. Nobody heard of Jedi's, and all of a sudden everybody know they cousin is a Jedi. Like, this is where it's important now that they start to clear these items up. But I do feel like they're going to come up with a situation where either what's his name killed him when he went and did all that other crazy stuff with Luke and whatever.
And
but I
Solo.
feel like it's going to be a situation. But I feel like what they're going to probably do is, for the next trilogy, they're going to come up with using, Grogu will be big, and he'll be big, and Grogu will be big in that, where either he is like a younger version of a Yoda getting us all together, and we're going forward to a whole new, situation, because I think he's going to have a bigger role maybe in the films. Like, I think now this is more of a launching pad of, okay, we're going to do these films, and this will be the connection. This will be what the connection is going to be, and he'll be leading.
I mean, but Drogo's done blown up. I mean, they got toys. Kids is buying toys and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so you want to talk about a moment bigger than Luke? Evil Grogu in the next trilogy.
I said he's going to die. I said I can see him dying, or or whatever. But they got to come up with something where he's, my issue is that I like these new ideas, but you got to come up with reasons why these individuals weren't around in certain scenarios. So I'm with you on that. I need to know, okay, so if you introduce this character that is so important, then what happens? And we also got to remember, this whole Mando story, this ain't but a little piece of Star Wars history. There's no big payoff. And I say this all, the difference between the movies and the TV shows is the movies have got to have big payoffs. There has to be big payoffs at the end that make you sit back and wait 3 years. These Mando stories are dope. They got good characters. These are really big payoffs. They're not big payoffs besides for Luke. That's for us. I'm saying there is no big payoff. There isn't. The Empire hasn't destroyed 6 planets, and now we've destroyed the Empire and nothing. This is Moff. Moff is over police station number 5 in East Liberty. In the grand scheme of things, you know what I'm saying? He's not the mayor. He's not the president. I mean, this is who he is. You just happen to have the dark saber. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, it's who you are. You're not.
I feel you feel it threw me, because I thought my man had the Force for a little bit in the first season. I'm like, all right, so he don't got the Force. He just got that sword. Okay, Okay,
I think he's force sensitive. I think he's just force sensitive.
No,
You know what
no,
I'm saying?
I hear you, but force sensitive dudes get knocked out too.
Right. No, right.
He's an ugly dude. He's an ugly dude with a fresh whip. That's all he is. Man. He's an ugly dude with a fresh whip. He got both.
Right. So now, so as we talk, so now then that story comes to a close. Luke takes Grogu. You know, I guess supposedly, you know, I mean, we could only assume, but we assume that.
Car, you're being so disrespectful. We're not gonna talk about when R2D2 comes out.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Come on,
We
man.
gotta talk about that. Yeah. Because also, I think Grogu and R2D2 probably know each other.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Because R2D2 was the one who didn't get his memory wiped. You know what I mean? And R2D2 is the only character who's been there since day one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think they were talking. He's like, yo, I remember you from the temple, yo.
Right. Yo, but Corey,
You know
what you think about the Luke Skywalker theory? What did you think about him being in all black and all?
I mean, I definitely think that there's more of a balance in the Force. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of his discovery, you know, with the Force post Return of the Jedi, because the Force squeeze, that's a Sith move. You know what I'm saying? That's not a Jedi move. Like the Jedi's move stuff. You know what I mean? They'll do like the Force push, but the Force squeeze, the Force choke, that's a Sith move. You know what I mean? So I think he's experimenting with the dark and the light. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you, Kahari and Big Show, you could chime in on this because I know you're pretty critical of this. Is that kind of helping them close that loop about, you know, how was Rey using all these other different powers and you know, that weren't Jedi specific powers in that series? You know what I mean? I think at one point she used the lightning. You know what I mean? And like criticism was like, all right, that's a Sith power. You know what I'm saying? But maybe at a certain point they realized that, you know, you could do all this stuff. I don't know.
That's a good one.
I think definitely it's like getting to the point where, I mean, that's the whole Star Wars lore when it comes to the Jedi and the Sith. It gets to the point where and that's the whole concept of the gray Jedi. You know what I mean? And Kahari can kind of, you know, go a little bit more in depth in that. And I'm not going, but the whole thing is that is a balance in the Force. So it's not dark or light. It's both. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's the whole concept. That's the whole evolution that Luke goes through, and that Ahsoka is at, supposedly. You know what I mean? So it's this whole gray Jedi theory concept that Luke is kind of, and he abolishes after Return of the Jedi. He abolishes like cats can get married. You know what I'm saying? He quits taking the younglings away from their parents. You know what I mean? At a young age, like he abolishes a lot of the things that made the Jedi like real closed-minded and real narrow focused, you know. So that's just my little thing.
And that was part of his problem too, because you know what, you got to respect the old. There's a reason for the old way. That's why people got burnt down. Then he drinking little bantam milk and being drunk and throwing lightsabers in the water because he ain't followed the ways that was before him. So I have a theory, and this is my theory, and this is my theory, and I bet everybody $50 right now. They're going to do a Luke Skywalker, Lando Calrissian series. I'm gonna tell you why I feel that way. In the last film, Lando talked about how him and Luke were looking for those triangle dips, whatever they were. I forget how they were looking for those, and how they found everyone except one. The wayfinders. How they were looking for those, and that was the one thing they were looking for, the wayfinders. And then, if you remember, when they found the one, it was because they stumbled and they fell, and there was somebody that was dead, and there was something down there. Remember, there was a character that was dead and whatever. That is a character who was more than likely running and hiding and trying to get away from Luke and Lando, and happened to fall into some type of sinkhole or whatever. So I think there's going to be a big old situation, and then Luke and Lando can't find it because dude sunk underground on accident or something, like it was a freak accident, and that's why they couldn't find that last particular piece. There's going to be a big situation where they're looking for these things or whatever, and they don't find it, and it becomes a big deal. Or maybe Luke does see it, and maybe Luke sees in the future that it has a problem. So he decides to leave it there and tells Lando something like, you know, it lies to Lando, that gray area, or maybe tells Lando something like, you didn't see this, didn't see where it's at or whatever, and just leaves it there. Because remember, Lando's still looking for it in the movie. Like he talked about Luke and these adventures that they were having.
Right.
So they're building up this adventure thing. I think this Luke, Lando Calrissian thing can be huge if they do it right. I just don't want dude introducing that in the Lando series. Dude who did Dear White People. I don't want him touching that. Like I feel like this is something that Favreau should touch, and I think that'll be a good way to bridge everything. And then maybe things that happen to Luke during this particular reason is the reason why he acts a certain way in the second one. Like, we got to fix that. We got to fix that second movie. Luke can't go out like that, man. I'm sorry, man. Sitting out looking on the horizon, like I'm done.
Right. But who plays Luke though? If they do that, like, are they going to do the Mark Hamill with the digital facelift again? I don't think that's not a long.
They're going to have to, or they're going to have to get somebody that looks. I mean, listen. Lucas Arts. One thing they got is money, and two. We can make the masks. We can do whatever we got to do. We can put the mask on them. We can do the makeup on them. We can do whatever we got to do, and then maybe digitalize the mouth movements. Whatever. I don't care what they do. That needs to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing you could say. I mean, obviously, like if we were going to grade the CGI, I would give the CGI with Peter Cushing playing Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. I was 100%.
That's 100.
That was 100% real. You know what I mean? The Luke one wasn't as good, but since it was a TV show, they don't have the budget. But for a feature film, they have the budget. You know what I mean, to be able to do. I mean, it's the same thing they did with The Irishman, with the Robert De Niro film. You know what I'm saying? If you have the budget, for a feature film, you can make it look more real than you can, for a television show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Man, you might just got good eyes, Kahari, because I'm telling you, I was sitting there watching it. I'm like, man, that's a great actor they got to play this dude, man. I had no idea. I was only watching. It wasn't until I watched it with my brother and his girl, who's a graphic designer, so she's an eye for detail. And we're watching it. She was like, "Are you sure it's a real person? That looks kind of like, like digital makeup or something like that." Yeah. And I'm like, "No, it's definitely an actor. Like, let me look it up." You know what I mean? Right. Like, I thought they did their thing with that. Grand Moff Tarkin was outstanding though.
Yeah.
He was. That was different. That was on a whole nother level.
That was different.
But that's that.
I was on my phone looking up, like when Peter Cushing died, because I was like, hold on, I was like, Peter Cushing's still alive? Like, there's no way.
Right.
They got twins.
You know what I mean? That was like 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But so we get our last few minutes. I did want to take the opportunity to to finish the show with the ultimate cliffhanger that they shared, you know what I mean, which was the the book of Boba Fett, you know what I'm saying, and it started with a scene very reminiscent of the scene of when Luke made his way into Jabba's palace. They showed the same kind of silhouette shot, but instead of Luke in a hood, it was Boba Fett's silhouette coming down the steps, and he pulls up on Bib Fortuna, who was a Jabba the Hutt sidekick, and clearly over the years since Jabba's demise in Return of the Jedi, Bib Fortuna has gotten fat, you know what I mean, figuratively and literally, you know what I mean, and you could just, there was some context clues that kind of show that he's taking over for the Hutts, and then then Boba just kind of rolls in like, walking your trap, take over your trap. You know what I mean? That could have been playing in the background. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, wow, okay, like like this is where the story's going with Fennec, on his side, sipping some bantha milk, whatever that was she was sipping on.
Yeah, right.
Hey man, I was just happy they finally freed that slave girl, man. She's been down there since like 1982, man. Get that girl home.
That was her sister. They killed the other one.
Yeah. They definitely expect the other one.
So somebody had pointed out that if you notice, Boba Fett is in none of the scenes of when Luke comes back, because if Boba Fett was on the bridge, you gotta remember Luke threw him in the thing. It'd have been on site. It would have been an issue, and Boba Fett wouldn't have no shot.
Right.
Luke would kill everybody in that room.
Right. That's interesting.
He would kill everybody in that room, Lando included. It'd been a problem. You
If Boba
know,
Fett was
so
there, yeah. I ain't thinking about
it
that.
went
That's
wrong.
crazy.
He just said something wrong, and he'd be like, "Man, don't let me throw you back down there again, cuz." So
Right.
I'm just excited with. So I feel like the Boba Fett show has a little bit of a pass because it doesn't have to have a big moment. There is no lore. There is no whatever. So you can do all these extra things that don't affect the future franchises whatsoever. It could just be about him doing Boba Fett stuff. You
Yeah,
know what I
some
mean?
gangster
And maybe
stuff.
have some cameos from here and there. Like I was
Right.
telling somebody, I said there's so many planets in the Star Wars universe that there's things that are going on that don't affect. The Empire doesn't care that Boba Fett is doing this down here.
Right.
Palpatine don't care that he done stole some cargo. Who cares? As long as you
Right.
don't touch our stuff, we good. So
Right.
we'll see what
Phil,
happens.
I'm gonna push back against that a little bit because I think that the cameos will like there is good fan service. I think eventually it'll start to hurt everything that they're doing because of what you also said about it being such a big galaxy, all the different planets. These people really shouldn't be running into each other like that. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
Like even if me and you live in Pittsburgh, we're probably never gonna run into each other. Much less me saying me and you live on Earth and I live on Mars. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so I think that like that'll ultimately serve to make the universe smaller. And I think that one of the things we'll see with the Boba Fett thing is it'll give us them a chance to give us new characters.
Yeah.
New
Right.
storylines, to tack back in what you were saying. And I love that.
Right.
I think that's gonna be
Right.
dope.
And I think off. But
Well, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think that the thing that's dope, really post Rogue One. I think, and even with the Solo story, you know what I mean. I think that what they're realizing, and I think Favreau and Filoni get it really well, is that every story doesn't have to be the same kind of story. Is that the fact that it is a total universe. I think the best stuff, post the acquisition from Disney is the stuff where they stay in a particular lane and say, okay, this is going to be a Star Wars Western. You know what I mean? This is going to be a Star Wars war film. You know what I'm saying? And little different little elements that they added to the Mandalorian, but at its heart, it was a Western. As the story
right.
went on, it became other things, but at the heart, it was a Western. Like Han Solo, was a Western as well. I think that's why people didn't get it. They didn't understand. They were looking for a full-on space opera. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think the Boba Fett thing would be dope because I think that's good. That could be like more like a Wire. You know what I mean? More of a street, like a gritty, like 1970s. These mean streets.
Right.
Gangster crime. More of a crime syndicate kind of story because within the constraints of Star Wars, you can say, okay, this is kind of like this is kind of like a Once Upon a Time in America kind of story, but we're just going to do it in the midst of a Star Wars kind of thing. And then one time they say, okay, we might do a political thriller. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what Phantom Menace wanted to be, but I think he was still like Phil says, so stuck in. You know what I mean? The space of making a full-on space opera. I think if he would have narrowed it and said, because the Phantom Menace really is a political thriller. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
like the
Right.
Kevin Spacey show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's that grimy politics scandal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then just find a lane and say, this is the kind of Star Wars story it is. And boom, we're going to just tell a crime story with this one. You know what I'm saying? And not try to have a space opera with a hero like the Boba Fett joint. It's like watching The Wire. You know what I mean? In space.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think the thing too is you real quick. My issue with the Mandalorian in the beginning was I didn't hear Star Wars music. Right, I didn't like that. I like Star Wars to sound a certain way. When you have
Right.
when you have certain characters coming, you hear. With these shows going forward, I'm all for them being different. They can be whatever they want to be, but you gotta have something to link it to. Like my daughter, who's 13, will watch certain episodes and be like, okay, that feels like Star Wars. She'll literally say that because we can have all these different stormtroopers to go. I need to see the original stormtroopers, and then I'm like, okay, we back in the Star Wars world. You got to have those context clues to draw you back in to where you're at. We can do the Wire, we can do the damn Sopranos, we can do the Creep Show, but I need to have Star Wars. Go ahead.
No, I think they're at a point. No. I think they're at a point with Disney. I think they're at a point where they're going to do that. I think we said it the last
Right.
episode where they kind of gave, Star Wars back to the fans, and that's kind of what like Mark Hamill went on Twitter after the episode. Did y'all like that? You know what I'm saying? It was like
Right.
interesting,
Right.
like the interaction, and fans was thinking John Navarro and Dave Filoni, on Twitter, like all these tweets. So I think what they're going to do is that I think they're just trying to smash the game. I think they're coming out with, they're going to have all these links, like Kahari said, these stories, like, oh, this is a Western, this is a political thriller, but there's going to be something that links it all back to Star Wars, right? So all these shows are going to have a similar link that links it back to Star Wars for the fans, so everybody can get up on the app, yo. You know what I'm saying? So everybody can download that Disney app, forget about Netflix, forget about Hulu. Yo, I'm on Marvel and Star Wars. That's all I'm doing. That's all my entertainment is. I watch these 3 shows on Marvel, and I watch these 5 shows on Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? My daughter, who's like a senior in high school, right? She's marveled out and loves Star Wars, right? She told me last week, she was like, yo, Disney got the game on lock. She was like, they got a monopoly on the entertainment industry. Now she's 17. You know what I'm saying? So that's how she's looking at it. Like, yo, I ain't gonna need nothing else but my Disney Plus app. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's what they're aiming for. That's the whole mindset. Execs at Netflix right now on Hulu, they're tripping, yo. Right. They're tripping because they're saying like, oh my goodness, all these heads is going to go over to Star Wars. Is going to be, Disney Plus, because the Star Wars and Marvel is over. Right. That's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, I agree with everything y'all are saying, man. I've been saying it for a couple years that I feel like, like comic we'll put everything under the umbrella of comic entertainment, right? Like Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all that stuff is, comic entertainment. I feel like there's enough content in that to literally produce something for everyone, right? Sure. Like you could do all this stup to Phil hates. They could do all that stuff. Real talk. They could do all that stuff, and there's still ways to tie it into the actual like source material. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do straight bubblegum pop Star Wars with, the Ewoks and the droids living on a planet, and they're just being cute all day, and then rounded out with ended up with a real Star Wars theme song because my daughter loves that music. She's 9. You say all the way up to Boba Fett, clapping people in the back of the head for spice traders or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so wide open, bro. Like, and one of the things that the companies that you're missing, that you're talking about, that are going to be losing out, is because like they just have at some point made a choice like that we're not going to do this. DC has, and Warner Brothers has the content and the characters. They just don't have the ability to package it in the way that anybody cares or wants it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not Batman. You know what I'm saying? So like I think that one of the things that we're seeing, we're going to be able to see is like, like I would love if Luke were to pop up in a completely family-friendly Jedi Academy TV show. That would be so ill just to see that happen. And you would get to watch that with the next generation of kids. But also it would be Star Wars as hell. Like it would be super Star Wars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, like I just think it's so perfect. And I'm so excited to see where this Boba's Palace thing goes, man. Like, I'm swimming in it right now. Right.
So for our last point, we'll do a quick go around. Phil, you start with the point
so
you're about.
I'm gonna start. So my point is this: DC problem is that DC does not respect continuity. DC's issue has always been, we're going to, this movie didn't do as good as we wanted to do. Fam, you made $500 million at the box office. You did pretty well. Everything's not going to do $1 billion. Everything's not going to do 600, 700. You got, if DC was smart, first of all, DC has the most iconic characters in history. They got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Y'all are goofball. We don't need 6 Batmans at one time. We're going to do a show where we're dealing with, and they may be good, and they may be fine, but what separates DC from Marvel and Star Wars is that Star Wars will sit back and say, okay, this movie didn't do what we wanted to do, but guess what? We're still going to go forward with these stories, or we're going to come up with a backstory to bridge this story in a way. What can we do to fix this? We're not going to reboot Star Wars. We're not rebooting anything. We're just going to keep going, and we can fill in these gaps. If DC first of all had to jump on everybody, had the DC app, but then they blew it because they didn't want to do whatever. If DC sat back and said our TV, movies, and stuff can coincide with each other, let's just do it. Marvel figured that out. Marvel had some TV stuff. Marvel said, our TV stuff, Kevin Feige and dude had beef. He said, you know what? We're not connecting that stuff. We'll loosely connect it, but it's not really connected. Peace to y'all. We're bringing this all together and everything connects. Marvel went back and bought back stuff that they messed up on by selling it in a fire sale, get that back, and they said, what we're
Right.
going to do. DC needs to do that. George Lucas and them, Marvel's killing right now. Okay? Star Wars was smart enough to say, you know what? We don't have this much pride. We're gonna go grab one of the number one people, put them on the map. We're gonna bring them in. What can we do to help us out with this continuity shit? And that's what he did. And they even let Favreau, come on, man, give us a bonus scene at the end. He did a Marvel in Star
Right.
Wars.
Yeah. He
did a Marvel in Star Wars.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so now it's like going forward, Boba Fett's gonna be dope because that's Star Wars. All these other shows are going. I just feel like some of these new properties, they got to have these little connections. But I'm done. I'm excited to see where it goes. I just hope that they don't reboot anything. Nothing goes the way you want it to go. You just fix it in the next one, or you tie it in. You tie it in somehow. Everything's not going to be Empire Strikes Back.
Right. We'll go to Luke Mon, Nate, and then I'll close.
You know, it's funny that Phil brought up Empire Strikes Back because Chapter 16 is exactly how I felt after I saw Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean? I had that same Star Wars feeling after Chapter 16. Was like, yo, man, how I felt when I was a kid, like after driving, like, man, Empire Strikes Back, like I just saw something. I knew after I saw Empire Strikes Back, I just saw history. I just saw something that I never saw before. And I felt like with streaming television or an episode, we just saw something that we've never seen before in an episode period. You know what I'm saying? I think they stripped everything down. They went back to the basics. They went back to, like I said earlier, been saying storytelling, character development, get people hooked on the characters, do proper character development. I think the issue that I had with Rey, I think there was mad potential in the previous films, right? Force Awakens on, but the character development with Rey and the character development with Finn and the character development was like off, right? Where even my daughters couldn't follow it, right? And here's like my young daughters who are like looking to a hero. This is a Jedi. She's a woman. Oh, right. And they couldn't even get into her character because of the poor character development. They were questioning everything about the second movie. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with this episode, man, there's no questions, right? Where are all the Star Wars critics now? There ain't a word, man. Everybody's quiet. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, after the movies, man, the internet was blown up about this and that and this. Now, no critics, no nothing. And going back to Phil's point, bringing Navarro over from the Marvel side helped definitely. And he's a Star Wars head, but Dave Filoni being in the mix, all of them being in the mix, all the directors, it seems like they got people who are Star Wars fans to direct it and to write it. And this wasn't a Disney thing, you know what I'm saying? And I think because Disney was in the situation that they were in, where Netflix is smacking them, where I've been reading about this, this Disney Plus app, and I'll be quiet, they've been having a lot of bumps in the, for the last 2 years trying to get this thing started. You know what I mean? The Disney Plus app was supposed to been us on 2 years ago, right? So they've been having a lot of bumps in the road trying to get this thing started, and it seems like with Star Wars, they're like, we're going to give this to the fans so cats can jump on this app. So I'm expecting that. I'm expecting, anything's open. You know what I mean? Pop cultural references, something that somebody might have said on Saturday Night Live in 1996 about Star Wars is a part of canon now, or whatever, right. Man. Like you posted that about Clerks, the movie, like they put that in the canon. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's all open and that they've given it back to the fans. You know what I'm saying? So the fans can jump on the app and it can go from there. And it seems like there's a new kind of awakening, I guess you could say, or a new revival when it comes to this whole Star Wars vibe, right. And it feels like it did back in the day now, right. You know what I mean, with new fans and so on and so forth. And the last thing I'm going to say is the way you keep or get new fans is just having excellent storytelling, and that's what they're doing. That's what they did here.
Yep, absolutely. Nate?
Yeah, so when I was a kid in like 1990, whatever, early 90s, there was a game out called Dark Forces, PC game. And then they came out the Dark Forces 2, and let me see. One second. Yeah, it was like a MS DOS video computer game back in the day. It was so old, but like playing through that game, there's a lot of scenes where you have to pilot a starship through like canyons on Tatooine. You know what I mean? And people are chasing you or whatever, or you're chasing somebody. And what was that scene? Not the rescue. It was the scene where they were on the planet with the frog lady and they crashed.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, like that scene when they're flying through those canyons. I'm really sitting there feeling like I'm like how I felt playing this video game from 1995. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, you know, this, like you were saying, like we've said it a million times, but the fan service, the ability to connect all of these different moments over like 40, 50 years of, you know, like history is possibly like one of the greatest feats of like television that I've ever seen. And I feel really privileged to have been able to see it. And like also, you know, just to know that like they're going to be spinning off of this, like I get to see the Book of Boba Fett. What? So I guess my question is Mando coming back? Do we know if Din Djarin's coming back?
What we understand, there will be a Mandalorian season 3.
Okay.
That's the Book of Boba Fett, from what we understand.
Season 3 will be the Book of Boba Fett, or they're different. They're separate things.
From what I understand, they're going to be separate. They're going to be separate.
But there's a theory out there that they may overlap.
Yeah,
there's a theory. You've seen that, right? They're going to overlap, and dudes come out. I mean, they're saying that they're going to be a season 3, though. Definitely a Mando, but they're going to overlap. Yeah.
Give me more. I need it.
There's stuff out there. This search, Nate. There's stuff out there talking about it.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. All right, no, y'all like doing that extra research. I enjoy the
yeah. So first, I want to thank everyone who tuned in to check us out. We'll be back, you know, next Sunday, you know, at 11 a.m. You know, thanks Nate, thanks Luke Mon, thanks Big Phil. You know, I just wanted to just end with with just this. You know, I thought it was just so hilarious that you know, for those who down with Kevin Smith movies, who down with Clerks, you know, there's a great scene in the movie Clerks from the mid-90s where God says, man, there's something bothering me all day. And it's like, what is it? He's like, man, you know, the first time they built the Death Star was legit. You know, it was a military base. Everyone on the base, you know, was military personnel more than likely. And they got, you know, what was coming. He's like, but the second time, you know, it was basically a construction site. You know what I mean? So you got plumbers and roofers and carpenters and stuff, you know, who got killed that were, you know,
independent contractors
that were, you know, they're just trying to make a buck. You know, they're just getting a government contract. You know what I'm saying? and you know, they're going with this whole thing and saying, you know, that was kind of whack. You know what the rebellion did in that case. But the funniest part about that scene is that there's actually a union plumber that overhears it. For those who remember the movie, that says, hey, you know, I actually got offered a job, you know, to do a plumbing job at the big time mob boss in northern New Jersey's house, and I didn't do it. And he was like, I gave it to my buddy, and my buddy did the job. It just so happens while he was doing the job, the rival mafia gang hit the house and the plumber got killed. He was like, you got to know who you're taking the job from. You know what I mean? He got what was coming to him, and he walks away, and that's how the thing is. So even in that, you know, you make, you know, the plumber, you know, makes the argument. But I thought it was hilarious, you know, in that opening scene with Cara Dune, you know, and the Imperial pilot, where he says millions of people died, you know, when that happened. So that was a shout out, and there was a photo of Kevin Smith actually in tears, you know, watching the end of chapter 16, you know. So,
wow.
You know, what a week, you know, in the world of Star Wars. I think we started this at the right time, even though the Mandalorian's over. I know by next Sunday, there's still going to be a lot to talk about as far as, you know, new information as we didn't get to touch any of the new stuff that we heard about, like the newer shows that are coming. So we'll deal with that, you know, next Sunday. So until then, you know, we're signing off for the Mandalorian, for Lukey, for Big Phil, myself, Kahari Mosley, goodbye from Cloud City, Palace, and you know, we'll catch you next Sunday at 11 a.m. in Cloud City, Orlando's Palace. Until then, may the force be with you. This is the way. McClunky, you know, Gang Limit, you know, Muscruffer, and all that fly stuff. Peace.
That's what's up. Peace.